Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we are jumping into yet again another new brewer for me. This is B-52 Brewing Company's So Pitted. It is a double West Coast style IPA that clocks in at 8.5% ABV. B-52 Brewing Company is based in Conroe, Texas. So a lot of first beers from new to me brewers in the last couple of months here. It's always exciting. And jumping back into a big West Coast style IPA. So in terms of label art, they've got a surfer catching a wave. That's the extent of it, and the script is in nice orange. Very colorful, nice looking artwork on the can. Let's get this cracked gently. We're going to use our nice tall all-purpose glass, which does work quite well for IPAs. So let's get this poured right in. All right. This one is pouring a beautiful, true golden yellow color. Not having a problem at all forming a head, so I'm going to back that off, let that settle a bit while we see about this beer. I could tell you already massive aromas popping off of it. As I was moving that glass, even from here, a good at least 2 feet away, I can still smell it. Very, very pungent aroma. Yeah, absolutely true golden yellow color. It's got a really bright, almost orangey gold sense to it. It's a lovely looking beer. A nice thick creamy head it poured here. In terms of carbonation, it's pretty active. I can see a lot of very small kind of champagne-like bubbles that are kind of rushing up and a few kind of medium-sized ones, but that's okay. This head, absolutely lush and creamy. I mean, that's ridiculous. That could have been sitting on top of a nitro tap pulled stout. Nonetheless, it looks great. I'm gonna get right up over it for a proper sniff. Oh wow, yeah. That smells amazing. All right, there's a lot of different classic kind of hop aromas coming out of this. The dominant ones I'm getting here are tropical fruit and citrus. So I'm getting mangoes, I'm getting papayas, I'm getting passion fruit, I'm getting pineapple, and I'm also getting some kind of orange and tangerine kind of vibes off of it as well. Not really any grapefruit or lemon or lime, which are pretty common for hop citrus kind of aromas. This one's definitely more in the orange, tangerine, that kind of family. It smells really, really nice. And that combination of that kind of citrus, orange type aroma with a blend of different tropical fruits, it smells absolutely fantastic. Yeah, there's a slight suggestion of a resinous note on the back as well. I know it's a West Coast style, so I thought maybe I would get a little bit of that, at least in the flavor profile, but I can definitely get it on the nose as well. So yes, it's still a nice creamy head, but it's settled down a little bit, so we're just gonna jump right in, see what this one's about. First sip. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Oh, what a good beer. Yeah, this is a proper West Coast style. 8.5 double, imperial, whatever you want to call it. Very, very nice. So the flavor profile, there's a lot happening here. But let's first just state the obvious. They call it a West Coast, absolutely classified perfectly. This is one of those IPAs that is for the hop head that really likes bitters. This one, for a double in particular, I normally find the higher the ABV in an IPA, no matter how many hops you add, the added kind of alcohol content and malts and everything that goes into it tends to mute the actual IBUs and bitter sensation and intensity. This is not one of those. This has a big kick of bitters. It's big and bold and it's in your face. So I'll also mention that they do specifically tell you right on the label that they brewed this with Pacific Jade and Centennial. I know they did a ton of dry hopping and obviously a lot in the boil. This is a nice big kick of hops, big present from the hops, big bitters from the hops. So before we get into the nitty gritty of the flavor profile, let's talk texture. This one feels kind of a medium heavy. Doesn't feel oppressively heavy, but it feels pretty much exactly where I'd expect for an 8.5% IPA. It feels right. It's got the right weight. In terms of mouthfeel, classic amount of resistance for an IPA in this ABV range. It feels exactly right. Good bit of resistance. It's not too thin. It's not too thick. It feels just right. This one does get quite creamy, in particular when you agitate around the palate. So that kind of further accentuates that resistance and adds to that sense of weight when you swallow. In terms of the flavor profile, it is noticeably upfront a big kick of earthy bitters. Very, very earthy bitters. That is the flavor sensation that comes through quite dominant. On about the 5, 6, 7 second range, that's when the earthy starts to get joined by some of these kind of tar and resin-like qualities, as well as some kind of citrus oil, citrus rind-like qualities. So it's dominated by big, intensely bitter kind of hop flavors that come through in the beer. So their hop selection, you know, and their dry hopping process made just this big, bright, juicy, kind of wonderfully aromatic mix of different fruit. But when you swallow, it's a completely different ballgame. It's very intense with the bitters. So yes, I would say they did a great job crafting a true to style, West Coast style IPA. Very bitter forward, very bitter present. Absolutely delicious. So I'm going to jump back in for a second sip, let everything re-intensify, see if I missed anything, then we're going to talk about this finish. First sip, I am impressed. This is a great first example of a beer from a new to me brewer. Take two. That weight, that mouthfeel, it's exactly right. Nice, earthy, bitter kick. And it just progressively intensifies, and then it holds. That's where you start getting some of this resin, some of this pine. A lot of citrus oil, citrus rind is coming in as well. So it's this really nice blend of, for my money, the three most intense hop flavors that really pair well in an astringently bitter beer. They got the right selection here and the requisite amount. This is extremely, extremely well crafted. And it takes a good 10-15 seconds before that slow increase in intensity starts to die down from its hold point. So it's about 5 seconds to kind of plateau, and then that holds for about another 10 seconds before it slowly starts to decay. The finish on this one is quite long. These are big, bold, intense flavors and bitters specifically, and they do linger all over the palate. The back is clearly where you have the most of it still lingering. And it really is this intensity of earthy bitters with a slight bit of resin. That's what I am left lingering on the back of the palate. The citrus kind of flavor qualities that pop in and out, those don't stick around on the end of the finish. It is dominated by resinous and earthy hop bitters, and it's really intense. Even after it dies down and you're clearly in the finished part of the beer, it just holds that intensity. There's really no sense of when it might start to die down. It's very pungent, very intense bitters that linger on the back of the palate. I absolutely love this. I don't get IPAs like this all that often. They're not, it seems, as popular as the New England style, which I get it. But for me, old school, the West Coast style, the big, bitter forward hop monsters, I love them. And this is an exquisitely well done example of this style. I'm going to take my time, sip on this, come up my scores. When we come back, we'll get this one ranked from top to bottom. Okay, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was B-52 Brewing Company's So Pitted, a West Coast style double IPA clocking at 8.5% ABV. B-52 Brewing Company is based in Conroe, Texas. So this is another one of that small little cluster of beers I've reviewed to date out of the several hundred that did indeed get a perfect score in all categories. This beer had it all. I do not normally go for double IPAs because, as I've explained many times, typically you get the ABV up higher and higher. There's more fermentables in there. The alcohol goes up. It does tend to dull the sense of the bitters. This one broke that mold. This was exactly as advertised. A West Coast style double IPA. It was hugely aromatic with just an abundance of different flavors. We had tropical fruit, we had melons, we had all sorts of interesting aromas, even some citrus. Then when you got into the actual flavor profile, it was pure, deep, earthy, resinous, citrus rind, just intensity of bitter. Just absolutely delicious. Everything about this beer was perfectly crafted. It was true to the style. Had a finish that lasted for days. Absolutely fantastic. This is easily one of the best IPAs I've had this year, probably in the last couple of years. If I had to say what's the best double IPA you ever had, I don't drink a ton of them. Unquestionably, it's this one. Has the little higher ABV, but this is a true hopheads IPA. If you love the West Coast style, the big, bold, in-your-face bitters, this is one you have got to try to find. Get your hands on it. Whatever you got to do, you will not be disappointed. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications, hit the bell icon. It's right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.